Welcome to our Mr. Jack channel. Get ready to feel the thrill with scary stories and mysteries that will get your heart racing. Don't forget to subscribe for more horror stories. A young archaeologist named Arif visited Chillingham Castle, a place notorious for its dark history, to research the torture instruments stored in the dungeons. That night, he decided to work alone, accompanied only by the light of a lantern and his notes. In the midst of the eerie silence, Arif heard a heartbreaking scream that seemed to come from someone who was being tortured. He stopped his work and looked around, but the room remained empty. Only a cold stone wall greeted his gaze. As he returned to recording the details of a torture device, he felt something strange. His hands suddenly felt cold, like they were being touched by an invisible hand. The suspense intensified when he looked at the small mirror hanging near the device. There he saw the image of a man with a face full of wounds, standing behind him with a terrible blank stare. Arif's body trembled violently, and before he could react, darkness claimed his consciousness. Arif woke up the next morning with his body sluggish and his mind in turmoil. To his surprise, the torture device he learned about looked like it had just been used. There were patches of fresh blood staining the metal. When he reported this to the castle guards, they merely shook their heads in confusion, stating that no other visitors had entered the dungeon that night. Stranger still, no one could explain where the blood came from. Arif's story adds to the spooky tales of Chillingham Castle, which is said to be haunted by the souls of past torture victims. Was what he experienced really the work of spirits, or just the play of his tired mind? To this day, the mystery remains an unanswered question, leaving a shadow of dread in the hearts of anyone who hears it. That night, Sarah, a tour guide, was doing a final check on the old castle to make sure no visitors were left behind. As she passed the large window in the east wing, something caught her eye. A woman dressed in white stood behind the glass. The woman's face radiated a deep sadness that gave Sarah goosebumps. Curious, she moved closer to get a better look, but the figure disappeared as if swallowed by the shadows of the night. Not yet recovered from her shock, Sarah heard the sound of footsteps approaching from behind. She stopped and turned around slowly, only to find a white-clad woman standing right in front of her. The woman's eyes were blood red, with a ghastly pallor on her face. In a low voice that was almost a whisper, the woman said, "Help me out." Before Sarah could react, her figure faded into the mist that suddenly filled the room. The next day, Sarah tried to find out more about the strange incident. In the castle archives, she found an old record of a servant girl who was locked in the east wing by her own mistress. The woman died slowly from hunger and fear, with no one coming to her rescue. The tragedy cast a shadow over the history of the castle, and since then there have been many reports of sightings of a woman dressed in white around the windows of the east wing. To this day, the mysterious woman often appears, as if searching for someone who can free her from her eternal suffering. Sarah's story adds to the long list of creepy experiences at the old castle, making it a place not only inhabited by history, but also by the spirits trapped within. Will anyone have the courage to help her? Or will she continue to wander in eternal sorrow? A young couple, Edie and Maya, decided to try a horror tourism experience by staying at Chillingham Castle, which is famous for its dark history. That night, as they were getting ready for bed, they heard the sound of children's laughter echoing down the hallway. At first, they thought it was just an artificial sound effect to add to the spooky atmosphere. However, the sound grew closer, until finally the door to their room began to shake violently, as if someone was trying to get in. Bravely, Eddie opened the door, and there he saw a sight that chilled the blood. A group of small children stood in the hallway, but their faces looked dark and blank, like they were wearing creepy masks. One of the children stepped forward and took Maya's hand. His touch was icy cold, making Maya's hand turn blue in an instant, as if her life energy was absorbed by the creature. Edie pulled Maya away frantically, and they ran out of the castle without looking back. After that incident, Maya started having strange dreams. In every sleep, she heard the same children's laughter, whispering her name. When Edie recounted their experiences to the castle guards, she got a more sinister answer. Local legend has it that the children were plague victims who were locked up alive in a hidden room in the castle to prevent the spread of disease. To this day, their spirits are said to linger, seeking freedom from their endless suffering. This story is one of Chillingham Castle's greatest mysteries, reminding anyone who visits to always be on their guard. The innocence of children's laughter holds an unimaginable darkness, reminding us that some historical stories are just too scary to forget.